Hi, this is Trey Pass. I would like to do a video since the Flash this upcoming Tuesday is going to be the last episode, season 9, episode 13, I think, of the Flash, the TV show. Organic Gusting, it's ending, and this, like I said, the first couple of seasons, I think up till season 5, I believe. I think the Flash was on point, and then I think starting episode season 6, then it started really the writing quality of it really went kind of went south. Okay, and I watched it on and off mostly, but like I said, the writing went south. I think after, and I think that's after. I think Andrew Kreisberg. I think that's his name, Kreisberg. I think he was the showrunner. I think in the first couple of seasons, and then I think he left. And then yeah, I think Eric Wallace. I don't know how long Eric Wallace was on. I know he's been the last like few seasons of it, and those seasons haven't been that great, to be perfectly honest. um, yeah, he's had things here and there, but that whole evil Speed Force thing and Barry's kids, this was really brutal and this awful. But anyway, I'm going to give you my top 10 because I decided to do this because I actually going to try to do it with clips, but I think with clips then it get copyrighted and there's a whole mess and stuff with that. But I definitely wanted to do a top 10 list of my favorite moments of the seasons. Of the Flash, of the show, and most of these occurred, I think, in the first 5 seasons. I think most of these things that I have here occurred in the 5th season. I think the first 5 seasons, although I think a couple of them are for later seasons, but the majority of them are for the first couple of seasons. And like I said, the first season of the Flash was just freaking awesome. Okay, just like a perfect blend of good writing and good acting. And Grant Gustin was just great as an actor. I never saw him before. I know he was on what's the show that do the singing show, Glee. I think he was on Glee. I don't know if he was on Glee that long. I think he was on there a little bit, but I never heard of Grant Gustin before this, and so he was a good choice as Barry Allen. Just really brought heart to the show, and he's been the best thing about the Flash show. But anyway, I'm gonna give you my top 10 moments in the Flash. Okay, starting 10 and then working my way up. Okay, and I'll have visual pictures here. So you know what I'm talking about. And I'll give you my little explanation of why I like these moments. Okay, number 10, Zoom, who was the villain in season 2, kicks Barry's behind in the police station in front of everybody, just to show, and I think they did that on purpose, just to show you what a badass Zoom was. And as a villain, he was pretty formidable a villain. For the Flash character, especially after you go through, the first season was, Professor Wells / Reverse Flash, and so I think to try to top that or get a comparable villain would be kind of hard. But I think they did a good job with Zoom, because I think Tony Todd, I think that's the actor who played Candyman. He did the voice of Zoom, and he has such a great voice, and it just made the character and plus the costume look just menacing. Okay, and that added to it. And like I said, the first couple of times Barry went up against Zoom, Zoom basically kicked his behind, literally, just really kicked Barry's behind. And that scene in the police station was just ridiculous. He basically kicked his behind in front of the police force, just to show them that this guy ain't nothing to me. Okay, this is your so-called, I think he said, this is your so-called hero, and basically tossed Barry to the side. Right in front of the police. So that was just a really intense moment. Basically, the Flash getting his butt kicked in front of everybody. Okay, now, number 9. Team Flash meets Nora. In season 5, Jessica Parker Kennedy, believe that's the actress's name. She was introduced as Nora Allen. Okay, she came from the future. And again, the casting of her was just great, because she looks like a blend of Grant Gustin and Candace Patton. She looked like a perfect blend of those two characters. So her casting was great, and plus, of course, she could act. So that was good, and her character was really good in season 5. And there was a lot of angst between her and Iris, which we didn't know. When you watch the season, at first you see that she's kind of warm to everybody except for Iris, and then eventually We find out a little backstory of why she was the way she was to why she would treat the present day Iris the way she was treating her. Uh, and I like there was a great moment in the season where when she finally reveals that, and Barry tells her, "Listen, I trust Iris. I love her, past, present, future. Doesn't matter if Iris did that, inhibited her powers. She did it for a reason." Okay, and I like that Barry had her back. He basically told his daughter, "Listen, it doesn't matter if I'm not around. If Iris makes a decision, it's from a place of Iris is the most loving person I've ever known. So if she did that, she did it for a reason. She did it out of love, not out of hate." And I thought that was really good, a really good moment to show that Barry always, Iris and Barry, they have each other's back no matter what. And there was also another great episode, I think, in that when the guy, I forgot the character's name, the guy that could stretch his limbs and all that stuff, do all that freaky stuff. And I know he could do that in real life, so they had him on the show as a villain was great. But he had kidnapped Barry, and he locked Barry up so Barry couldn't use his speed powers, and he had Barry basically teetering on the top of a building, high building, and he basically pushed Barry off, and Iris literally jumped off right after him. And that was just such a bad, and just showed you that she was a bad, even Nora was impressed with Iris being a badass, jumping right up off the roof right after Barry and unlocking his cup so his powers could come back. And of course, he grabbed her in time, and they sped down to safety. And I thought it was just a great moment to show. Again, Iris, she'd ride or die for, excuse me, for Barry. Number 8, Barry beats Bart and Nora. I think that happened in season 7, I believe. Barry and Nora. If you remember season 5, we found out that Nora was actually working with the Reverse Flash, and then at the end she basically sacrificed herself and vanished from the timeline. And so in season 7 she came back, and of course when she came back, Barry was happy to see her. But then she said, "Okay, she said, "Of course I'm fine." He said, "We're both fine." And Barry was confused from it. "What do you mean both of us?" And then zoom, you see Bart Allen come in, and what's his name? Jordan Fisher, I think that's the actor name who played Bart. Again, another perfect blend of Barry Allen and Iris West. They look like Jordan Fisher actually looked like he could be their son. So again, another perfect casting for them, and that was just a really great moment. And I believe that's season 7. Don't quote me directly. It could be season 8. I think it might have been season 8. But excuse me. But he got introduced, and again, another great casting, and he was really good, and he fit right in with the characters and the family. And I know they're gonna have to make an appearance in the final episode that's gonna come up on Wednesday. Definitely they'll be there. And I wouldn't mind if but since CW has been sold, I always said that when they first introduced both of those characters, I wouldn't mind a show with those two characters set in the future. That would be a nice continuation, a legacy of to carry the Flash on. But unfortunately, CW got sold, and I don't think they do more scripted shows. They want to do things on the cheap, more reality shows, and they own a majority stake of CW. So unfortunately, I don't think we'll do that. But maybe James Gunn will do that. Maybe he'll do that on Cinemax. Maybe he'll make a TV show. I would love to see a TV show with those characters set in the future. Okay, that would be really good. And again, Andrew Kreisberg, I think that was the guy's name who was the showrunner, I think. I'm not sure. He was a showrunner for the first couple of seasons on The Flash when it was really good. And I think if they were to do that, definitely bring him back. Although I think he might have got Me Too'd, I think. I'm not sure about that. But I know he left. And so I think he might have got Me Too'd, so that's why he left. But in any event, okay, that was number 8, all right? Barry meets Bart and Nora. Number 7, Zoom kills Barry's dad. Okay, Barry's dad, Henry Allen, of course, was locked up, of course, for the murder of his wife, and he finally got out of prison. And of course, Zoom they wanted to up the ante to make sure you knew that Zoom was nobody to mess with, okay? And not only did he, like I said, he kicked the Flash behind several times, he actually killed Barry, his father, Henry Allen, in front of him, with Barry pleading for his life, and he still killed him. To get Barry to reveal his, push Barry to his dark side, and that was just horrific, especially after everything and finally getting him out and stuff from prison after all those years, and to have him get killed in front of Barry was just a heartbreaking moment. And but thankfully the actor who played the Flash on the TV show back in the '90s, he came back as Jay Garrick. Okay, so at least his character got to live. The actor got to continue to play, and of course, when they do flashbacks, he gets to play Henry Allen and stuff. So that was good. But that was a real emotional moment on the Flash with Barry pleading, and again, Grant Gustin can cry like nobody's business. Okay, now number 6. Barry figures out who Saboteur is. Now we had the Speed Demon. I think this is season 4, I believe. I think Saboteur was season 4. Hold on, let me just double check this. I think it was season 4. I think Saboteur was in what season of The Flash? I think it was season 3, I believe. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Let's see. Yeah. 15. Yeah, he was in the 3rd season. Yeah, he was in the 3rd season. The God of Speed. Okay, and he was again another formidable villain. Speed with a badass armor, and the Flash couldn't figure out who he was. And who he was, and why he was attacking Team Flash until I believe it was episode 20, I believe, where we get the reveal where Barry thinks, and he's thinking about what Saboteur said. Because there was a moment where I think early in the season, when they got to talk to him, and he dropped clues about who he was. And then Barry actually figures out who he was. And he said, "I know who you are because I've lived it before." And he kind of went to this place. He didn't tell anybody. He went and he said, "I know you'd be here because you've already been there before, right?" And he said, and then he takes his armor out, and then you see him lift his head up and get out of the armor, and it's a version of Barry, a time remnant of Barry, and he says, "I'm the reverse. I'm the future Flash." That's what he said to the Flash one time when he was fighting. "I'm the future Flash. Like I'm the future." And they just thought it meant he just said, "I'm the future," but he actually meant, "I'm the future Flash," which means he was a Flash that came from the future. And he was actually a time remnant that Future Barry created to defeat Saboteur. Who actually Saboteur, he created a bunch of time remnants to defeat Saboteur, and he slaughtered all of them except one, him. Now, the excuse that they made for why Saboteur became Saboteur, this is supposed to be Barry's dark side, I thought was kind of weak. When he says basically, I became Saboteur. He basically said that since I wasn't the original Barry Allen, Team Flash shunned me, which I don't believe for a minute. Okay, I think they should have came up with a better reason. Because for him to say it like that Cisco and everybody would shun him because he wasn't the original Barry Allen. Okay, no, that's a weak excuse. Because no, this is the 3rd season, and we know these characters pretty much, and we know that they wouldn't turn their backs on any version of Barry. They wouldn't turn their back on. So to me, that was a weak excuse to become a Saboteur, even though he was a good villain. That was a weak excuse, to me. I mean, there was even a moment where they took him back to Star Labs and was, talking to him and like try to sympathize with him, but he didn't. He wasn't having it. He was saying that Iris has to die so Barry can turn dark, and then he can be created. Okay, so, but I think that he could ascend to become. Yeah, I just thought that was just a weak excuse. Although, like I said, it was good to see. You get to see Grant Gustin play a darker version of Barry, and I thought that was pretty cool. But the excuse to me was just, it didn't make sense. Now, probably in the comics, it was probably better explained, I think, than they did on the TV show, because I just think that was a weak excuse to me. But anyway, episode, excuse me, number, oh wait, hold on. I think I lost my place for a minute. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Okay, number 5, that's where I'm at. Flash rescues Iris from Robot Samurai. Okay, at the end of season 3, Barry went into the Speed Force because I think the Speed Force was going haywire, and that was the only way to stop it from destroying everything on our existence. So Barry had to go into it and sacrifice himself. Okay, so Team Flash thought he was, he was dead, and he had to say goodbyes to Iris and everybody. And then he came back. They pulled him back in on season 4, episode 1. But Barry came back not in his right mind. He was talking gibberish, writing weird symbols around, and so they put him in the pipeline. And then all of a sudden, this robot samurai came by. He was attacking Central City, and he was asking for the Flash. And of course, but they couldn't get Barry back to his right mind. And then Iris figured that maybe if she get herself kidnapped, that Barry would snap out of it, and so she sacrificed herself for the samurai. And the samurai took her, and then of course Joe ran to the pipeline and pleaded with the guy. He said, "Barry, you got to help Iris. Been taken by the samurai robot. You got to help her. You got to help her, Barry. Please, son." And he's pleading with him. And they said, "Iris is gonna die." And then all of a sudden, you see Barry, his eyes light up. You see the lightning in his eyes, and then all of a sudden, zoom right out of the pipeline. Now remember, the pipeline is supposed to be there to hold metahumans, right? Dampen their power so they can't escape. But Barry zoomed right. He blew right through the pipeline, grabbed the suit, and I like that moment where Cisco says, "The Flash is back, baby." Look, he took the suit because they made him a new suit, and Cisco said, "He's back, baby. The Flash is back." And then you see Barry chase after, and this is like some of the best actions they ever shot on the show, where he's chasing them through these windmills and stuff, wind tunnel things, and he chops off his wing, grabs Iris, and falls down. And then you have and Iris says, "You saved me," and he said, "Always." And then pulls off his mask and they kiss, and then you see the robot samurai says, "Welcome back, Flash." And then later we found out, I think DeVoe sent that samurai, I think, to test Barry. I think DeVoe, I think I remember season 4 because he was a season 4 villain, DeVoe. But anyway, that was just a badass moment when Barry, when Joe says Iris is gonna die, and he just snaps right, from that crazy haze, he snaps back and zoom, and snatches the suit, and he's it's just badass to watch. If you look it up on YouTube, you'll just love it. It's just a great scene. The opening episode of season 4. Now, episode 4, Barry saves his mother and creates Flashpoint, which kind of negates. I think that happened in season. Is it season 3? I think it's season 3 that Barry does that. I think Flashpoint was in season 3. If I'm right about that, I think it is season 3, because you have that great emotional moment where Barry decides, screw this, I'm going back and I'm saving my mom, and he does, and he gets there and he actually stops Reverse Flash from killing his mom, beats the crap out of him and holds him hostage, and basically you see him holding him hostage, and you see Barry, see both his parents are alive, and he's happy that he has both his parents are there, but then Barry starts having these weird things, and then he figures things are not the way they were, because his mom is still alive, and it screws everything up, and then that's when you get that great moment where you get Eobard Thawne from the promo. I still remember the promo. He says, "Now who's the villain now, Flash? Who's the villain?" Because he even explains to Barry, Eobard Thawne, he said, "You created this Flashpoint, okay? You screwed up the timeline, okay? And of course things are not going to be." He said, "You're feeling the effects of things, and once he said, if you don't reverse this, things are going to stay this way permanently." And so basically he has to go back, and which kind of negates what happens in season 1, where he actually does let his mother die. But him going back and doing this, I think, was a kind of a step back for his character, for him to do that. Okay, but it was a great moment where you see the things are different. You see his mom and dad are happy for a while and stuff, but then things are not quite the same. And I think Cisco's brother, I think I think his brother was a villain in this universe. I think Diggle had a daughter instead of a son, and just changed a bunch of stuff around there. And of course, Barry had to learn his lesson the hard way, and reverse it, go back and reverse it. Now, and the really okay. So let me, because I'm going to circle back to this later. Okay, number 3, Team Flash finds out that Wells is Eobard Thawne. Now, the first season to me was probably the best season of the Flash in terms of writing, and Tom Cavanaugh as Reverse Flash, as Harrison Wells mostly slash Eobard Thawne was just absolutely fantastic. He basically, and we get to see later in the season when they show the flashback of him being Thawne, played by Matt Lessinger, I think that's his name, how you pronounce his name. But anyway, he was, of course, from the future. He was jealous of the Flash, and he went back in time and basically stole Wells's identity, killed him and stole his identity. And basically he had to make sure that the Flash would become the Flash so he could be there to challenge him in the future. And so basically he had to help him along the way. Which is kind of, I know it's kind of weird that he had to do that, but to make sure the timeline stayed intact, that's basically what he had to do, and to get back to his time. Remember, because he was stuck back at his time too, so he couldn't really travel back. So he had to make sure that the Flash lived up to his potential. I think so. He's going to steal his power and stuff, and then travel back, and then be able to travel back to the future. Really good acting. Tom Cavanaugh was just absolutely great as Professor Wells, especially that first season. It later became kind of derivative when they kept showing up. He kept showing up as different versions of Wells and stuff, which I think was kind of silly. Although I did like Harry, which I think was in season 2. I think season 2 was Harry Wells. I think he was good. He was the one that had the daughter and stuff, came from Earth 2. I like Harry Wells. He was good. All those other different versions of Wells got to be a bit much. Okay, but the first season when he played Wells slash Eobard Thawne was just absolutely fantastic. It's like almost like the perfect for origin season for a TV show. And again, the Reverse Flash was just a great villain. Just again, props to let's say Tom Cavanaugh and also Matt Lessinger, who played the original face of Edward Thawne. And I like, for the most part, for the most appearances of the Reverse Flash, it was played by Tom Cavanaugh, but I like Matt Lessinger too as the Reverse Flash. I just think you could believe his evil, I guess. I think he just played I just love the subtle way he played Wells, that was really the Reverse Flash. I love Tom Cavanaugh did just a fantastic job as that, but I like Matt Lessinger as Eobard Thawne. He just, to me, was just the embodiment of the perfect villain. Okay, but again, that's my opinion about that. Okay, again, I think they overused Tom Cavanaugh, but kept bringing him back and finding different ways to bring him back. I think it got to be ridiculous after a while. That's why I liked, and I loved Matt Lessinger in Legends when he played, again, Eobard Thawne in Legends with his original face again, which was good. Number 2, Barry reveals his secret to Iris, and I admit she loves him. Okay, this was in season 1, I believe. Yeah, where I think the Weather Wizard, that was his name, he created this tidal wave, and Barry and Iris was having a moment in the park where Barry had revealed that he is in love with her, and she was kind of confused about it, but then she tells him that she couldn't stop thinking about him when he said that, and of course, and then she realized that she loved him too. Okay, and then they kiss, and then of course there's this tidal wave coming. He gets a notification from Caitlin that this big tidal wave is coming. It's going to wipe out all Central City. So Barry says, I hate to tell you this, because at this point she didn't know he was the Flash, and he basically turns into the Flash right in front of her and tells her to get to safety, and he runs off. And so those 2 moments was great, because we got the reveal that Iris is in love with Barry, and of course Barry revealing to Iris that he's the Flash. I think those are 2 great moments, but of course it got wiped out because the Flash travels so fast to stop this wall that he travels into the future. Okay, which so Iris doesn't find out till later that he's the Flash. Okay, and my number 1 top 10 moments in the Flash, and this moment will make you cry. I guarantee you'll be heartless if you don't cry at this. Barry travels back in time and lets his mother die. Now that happened in season 1, okay, where Barry actually travels back in time, thinking that he can save his mom, but he sees a version of himself that tells him like that, no. And then later in season 9, I believe it's episode 10, it kind of comes full circle because Barry, this is a future version of Barry actually telling it, past Barry, season 1 Barry, don't interfere, okay? And he saves, in the future Barry saves young Barry. And so Barry, you hear him, Barry realizes that, and then he goes back, instead of coming out of the closet, he hides in the next room, I think in the closet, right? And his mom gets killed, or she gets stabbed, and she's dying. And then he comes out of the closet, and he's talking to his mom, and he's telling her everything's going to be okay. And because she doesn't, she's dying, and she asks about, and he tells her, no, Barry and your husband is safe, and everything's going to be okay. And then he takes his mask off, and she sees his face, and tells, oh, you look like my father. And then he tells her, this is not going to make any sense. But now it makes sense because we see in season 9 that Barry actually spent time with Henry and Nora Allen as a different, when he traveled to the future, and he actually, spent a bunch of time with them. So she was a little confused, but he even tells her, listen, this is not going to make sense, but this is Barry. I'm Barry, and she accepts it, that this is her son. And he said, listen, I'm okay. Me and Dad are okay. I just wanted you to know that we're doing okay, and I want you to know that we love you. And she said, my sweet boy. And it's just such an emotional moment. And it really kind of comes full circle with episode 10 of season 9, where they get to tell you that that was the future version of Barry that actually traveled back to that point to tell past Barry, don't interfere, don't, like, stay back. I got, don't, she has to die, unfortunately. And I think that Barry came to terms with it, and I think that that was probably one of the nice moments that ties season 1 with season 9 together perfectly. And that was, again, it's an emotional moment because Michelle Harrison, who plays the Nora Allen, she's been on the show a lot, and it kind of wasted her character by making her like the embodiment of the Speed Force. I think that was really stupid, to be honest. Okay, Nora, I know they like the actress and stuff, and I like her as Nora Allen. Don't get me wrong, she's perfect as Nora Allen, and she's a good actress. But making her the Speed Force, I think, was just really. I know they wanted the actress, I guess, because they like the actress, and she gets to play more than just, dying Nora Allen. But I think it was just a waste of her. And then also she's like, what's his name? Jay Garrick's wife, a different version of her. It's just, it got to be a bit much, okay? But nothing beats season 1 where he basically says goodbye to his mom and lets her know that him and his dad are okay and that we love her. And I think and so she was able to die happy, I guess, which is kind of weird to say that, but so she was able to, be at peace knowing that, that her kid, her son is going to be okay. Okay. So I can't wait to see the final episode of The Flash, and I know it's going to be emotional and stuff. And like I said, the writing hasn't always been good. Like I said, if you see The Flash, if you watch the first 5 seasons. I think the first 5 seasons are okay. Seasons 6, 7, and 8 are kind of woo. There's moments, but it's not as good as the first 5 seasons of The Flash. I think then after 5, I think it went to the writing has been uneven, to say the least. Okay, but again, the season 9 hasn't been that great either. To be perfectly honest, the last 4 episodes have been good, but there's kind of some filler in the last season too, which was sort of ridiculous. You think they would have put effort into making every episode, the 13 episodes they had for this season, really good, but they had a lot of filler in this even season 9. So, but anyway, let me know what you think of The Flash and what are your top 10 moments of The Flash TV show. And again, see, mine are mostly from like the first 5 seasons. You got a couple of things from the seasons past that, but most of mine are for from the first 5 seasons, which are really the peak of The Flash, of the writing of The Flash. Okay, so anyway, let me know what you think. Feel free to leave comments down below. I have links to my social media in the description box: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also have a link to my other channel, Love Views and Opinions. You check that out as well. Also have a link down below to my Patreon. Okay, my Patreon, which is only $5 a month. I have tons of content on there, tons of unedited content. I have Marvel shows on there, DC TV shows. I have Star Wars shows on there. I have movies on there as well. Tons of unedited content. Follow the link to the Patreon. Check it out. Only $5 a month if you want to support me. Also, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel, and I truly appreciate it. Also, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you know when I upload new content to this channel. And this is Trey Pass saying so long, and take care.